The first 6 months of 2025 have been pretty slow and lackluster for historical movies and historical films if I'm being honest. But there were still some decent historical films released during this time period, and in this video I will give you my recommendations of the top 5 historical movies released in 2025 so far. But before we begin, don't forget, if you love anything to do with historical movies and historical TV shows, then subscribe to my channel History Spark. And apologies guys for the poor audio quality of this film, as I've lost my voice, so I'm not really capable of speaking as clearly and as loudly as I usually do. At number 5, it is William Tell, a medieval historical epic set in 14th century Switzerland during the brutal occupation by the Austrian Habsburgs. And this film depicts the legendary story of William Tell, the expert marksman and reluctant hero who stands up against tyranny after his family and homeland are threatened. Claes Bang stars as William Tell, delivering an intense and realistic performance. This film also benefits from great battle sequences, breathtaking Swiss landscapes, authentic costume design, and a strong supporting cast including Goldshift Ferrani and Ben Kingsley. This historical film has very uneven pacing though, and the plot is pretty unoriginal and doesn't really bring anything new to the historical genre. But overall, if you're looking for a film that has a relatively decent commitment to historical realism and does a decent job of portraying the story of one of Switzerland's most legendary figures, then William Tell is the film for you. At number 4, it is Alto Knights, a mafia movie starring Robert De Niro, which will take viewers all the way back to the 1950s when the mafia was at the peak of its power, and this story will depict the lives of two of the mafia's most important and well-known early members, Frank Costello and Vito Genovese. And Alto Knights was a commercial and critical failure, with many people being confused with why Robert De Niro was playing a dual role in this film, and this is a criticism I completely agree with. But eventually you do get used to which character De Niro is portraying on the screen, and the story here is fine, and it is a pretty run-of-the-mill mafia film, and you kinda know what you should expect by this point from a Robert De Niro mafia movie. I would say overall that this film is more easier and engaging to watch than his other films such as The Irishman, and I think anyone looking for a gripping and easy to follow mafia historical drama, then Alto Knights is the film for you. At number 3, it is Chava, a historical film set during the late medieval period of Indian history when the Mughal Empire is at the height of its power, and this film tells the story of Sambhaji, the Maratha emperor, and his rebellion against the powerful Mughal emperor Aurangzeb. This film stars Vicky Kaushal as Sambhaji and Akshay Khanna as Aurangzeb, and both are spectacular in their roles, with Vicky Kaushal in particular holding together a pretty incoherent plot and movie overall with the brilliance of his acting alone. Chava is your standard formulaic Bollywood historical epic with over-the-top battle scenes and action sequences, poor pacing and plot devices, and musical scores that you can just skip because they have nothing to do with the story. But these criticisms can be overlooked because of the overall engaging storyline, brilliant acting of the cast, and some amazing cinematography, costume design, and set pieces. So if you have any sort of interest in Indian history and the Mughal Empire, then Chava is my recommendation for you, and this film is available to stream on Netflix in some regions across the world, so be sure to check that out. At number 2, it is Warfare, a harrowing story about a real-life 2006 Navy SEAL mission in Iraq, which goes completely wrong and survival becomes the only concern for these American soldiers. This film is primarily an action movie first, and it does not really try to provide an in-depth or complex story, as it pretty much just plunges the viewer straight into 90 minutes of relentless and brutal real-time combat. The cast, led by Will Poulter and Cosmo Jarvis, is decent, but I don't think it is anything more than just satisfactory if I'm being honest, as Warfare does focus a lot more on getting the viewer immersed in the film through its gritty realism, exceptional battle sequences, and the set pieces used to create a war-torn Iraq. So if you're looking for an action-packed war film, then Warfare is my recommendation for you, and it is available to stream on Amazon Prime right now. And the top spot on this list goes to Kesari 2, a gripping historical courtroom drama set after the events that would occur after the horrific events of 1919 Jalalianwala Bagh massacre, where thousands of innocent Sikhs, Hindus and Muslims peacefully protesting against British tyranny were mercilessly slaughtered by British General Mike O'Dyer. This film is very important to me on a personal level, as my grandparents had many friends and family that perished in this tragic massacre, and I'm glad to see the consequences of this event being brought to the big screen in a meaningful way. And Kesari 2 depicts the story of Indian lawyers Sankaran Nair and Ananya Pandey, who take on the British Empire in a landmark legal battle to expose colonial atrocities occurring in India. This film has a truly engaging storyline told in a slow and methodical manner, amazing acting by the entire cast, and some brilliant cinematography. This is not your standard action-heavy historical drama, but a much more serious and slower-paced film, which I think any viewer of this channel could benefit from watching. So let me know in the comments down below if there are any other great films from the first half of 2025 that I may have missed out on. And as always, if you want to stay up to date with everything to do with historical movies and historical TV shows, then subscribe to my channel History Spark, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.